Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great night. Kind of decided to do this video after deciding to paint up a new faction. I've got a lot of boxes I can actually do. And I've had many a question over the last couple of years after I made my buying guide for the Inner Sphere, why I never did one for clans. Part of it is I'm a little biased against the clans. I don't particularly like them in the setting as far as a faction other than to kill them. But, like myself, you may be finally getting into a point where you can do Op4 factions, or maybe being a space fascist, eugenicist appeals to you, or you just like the tech. But still, it's where to start. Answer that question is a little more complicated than the Inner Sphere one. Inner Sphere, there's kind of a clear guide to go through, and oftentimes basically picking up mechs that's basically could be played in any era. That's oftentimes when starting this game, I oftentimes suggest playing the Inner Sphere because more eras are open to you, and all the mechs in the starter are good through the whole setting. Clans are a little bit more limited by timeline. I mean, they kind of appear in 3050. I mean, you could go back and say, all right, there's the Pentagon campaign and such, but they were using their old Starling mechs, which Inner Sphere mechs, though, be it a little modified. I still, though, believe no matter which direction you're going with the clans, whether you're going with offensive and going with the Omni mechs, or going defensive with the second line mechs, you probably want to start with the starter, because it does give you a base. Now, this is my old starter box. It's all its contents now are kind of sitting in my collection, painted up, and what we have is just a box, but it still is very much the box. This comes with a rule set. Comes with Alpha Strike cards, pilot cards, rulebook. In this particular case, the mechs in it, actually, that's not the right back, but I also have this one, which, this is my Kickstarter one, which has got a little different cover, but the back is the same. Comes with an Executioner, an Assault Mech, 90 tons. Kind of a fast, if you're using it right, it's kind of a heavy killer. The Timberwolf, which is one of the mascots of the setting, and one of the, as far as design-wise, is one of the most perfect mechs. A Mongrel, also called a Grendel, which is kind of a clan version of a Centurion. A Nova, which pretty solid medium. Infamous reputation of being an absolute flashbulb with its main configuration, as it carries more medium lasers than it knows what to do with them. And a personal favorite, an Adder. Very versatile light mech. Oftentimes mimics a lot of the Inner Sphere famous heavy designs, but it's quite a big punch in a very small package. It also comes with 2 elemental battle armor. Clans are very famous for their armored infantry. These things, if they get on you, can cause a whole lot of misery. Even not getting on you, it's a nasty little nest with 5 guys shooting mech scale weapons at you, although they're kind of on the light side. They actually get onto you, they can start doing things like leg attacks, basically getting crits on the legs, or jumping up and swarming you and doing the same thing up top. Quite a used unit. I use the elementals a lot when I do play clans, since I have a tendency to play combined arms with them. But this is a very good place to start because it gives you 5 mechs and 2 battle armor. An alternate way to go, especially if you're planning on playing both Inner Sphere and clans, is the Alpha Strike box. It's a little on the pricey side. It's $80, but it also gives you a crap ton of mechs to start with. I believe 13. Biggest drawback with this is you're gonna have to get a rule book, unless you're just playing Alpha Strike, in which case it has its own. And also the fact that you're not going to get any record sheets with them either. You're getting the Alpha Strike cards. But it's got a fairly nice assortment of clan mechs within it. It's got a Fire Moth, Late Scout / Battle Armor Taxi, another Nova, a Warhawk, which is an assault mech, a little bit more traditional compared to the Executioner. Kind of uses, it's kind of a clan awesome. Still heats up fairly heavily, and you kind of have to pace yourself with it, but very powerful. And another Timberwolf, and a Pouncer, which is kind of a medium version of the Adder. Another very, very solid mech. And then you get, obviously, your Inner Spirit picks. You got an Archer, it's a variant. An Atlas, also a variant. A Wraith, which is a little bit newer mech. Kind of a fast striker. A Warhammer. A Phoenix Hawk. A Blackjack. A Wasp. And a Locust. Like I said, it's an alternate way to do it, but it's a little bit more intensive because you have to get more stuff for it. Here's where things get a little interesting. If you're going offensive, planning on playing the early Clan Invasion, my first Force Box recommendation is the Clan Command Star. It's got a nice assortment of mediums, a heavy, one of the most dominant assaults in the game, and a light, which still had kind of a scout and has its uses. Obviously, first of all, the pack comes with a Direwolf. This is probably the main reason I suggest this one. I mean, literally, the mech is the king as far as clans. It has been for a long time. 100-tonner, can eat an Atlas's lunch. One of the very few strategic assault mechs they make. You got a Summoner, which is a very common heavy. And then you got two very, very popular mediums. You got the Stormcrow, which is one of my favorites. 6'9", 55-tonner. Great speed, great armor. Like the Timberwolf, it's an absolute masterpiece as far as design. You got the Shadowcat, which is a 45-tonner. Also a very nice mech. It's kind of a heavy scout. And then you have a Mistlix, which is kind of a light striker, kind of a combined arms fighter. What they use to deal with infantry. All in all, very solid pack. Great starting place after the starter. Next one, if you're going kind of 30-50 clans, probably is the Clan Heavy Striker Star. Whoever was putting these out really kind of knew what they were doing, because these two were the first packs. Again, comes with one assault, this time 2 heavies, and then 2 mediums. You could almost say this one is Clan Wolf themed, although the Ghost Bears definitely use the Viper and the Mad Dog a ton, and the Hell Horses and the Falcons use the Hellbringer a ton. First mech I want to discuss is the Gargoyle. It's an 80-tonner. It kind of follows the Charger concept. It's fast, but it's horribly armed. Although there are some decent configurations out there. But it's an oddball. You can still carry battle armor with it. Has its uses. The Mad Dog, which hard to define. Its primary kind of mimics the Archer a little bit, but it doesn't have as much ammo. And then it's got its pulse lasers as well. It makes it a very deadly machine. Mimics the Timberwolf quite a bit, smaller, but very much as a favorite. It's got some great configurations to it, including one of them that's just death by SRMs. The Hellbringer, 65-tonner, more guns than it knows what to do with, and not enough armor to stay on the field. Heavily used by the Jade Falcons, though, also Hell Horses. It's kind of what the clans call a trial mech. Because the idea, basically, if you kill the other guy first, overheating won't matter. The Viper's a bit of an odd duck in clan doctrine, but it would be absolutely prized by Inner pilots. It's kind of a heavy scout, heavy, kind of a skirmisher, and it's great as a battle armor taxi. Oftentimes used by clans who use a lot of battle armor. And then we have the Ice Ferret, which is another very fast medium, kind of hard-hitting with its primary configuration, which carries a PPC. Oftentimes used by Clan Wolf. This one I'd say kind of go with a midpoint in your collection. Clan Firestar has a Warhawk in it. Another hard-hitting Clan Assault. I kind of mentioned it thanks to the Alpha Strike box. It also has a Nova Cat. Hard-hitting heavy. Great mech, I absolutely love it. It has a Cougar, which is kind of a later Jade Falcon mech, but also is used by a lot of Inner Sphere factions once they actually start buying clan tech. A Firemoth, which also has been mentioned before. And it also has a Kitfox. Heavily used by Clan Jade Falcon. Used by all the clans, actually. It's 6'9" as far as speed, but it carries more guns that can really... It's really heavily armed, but it has a tendency to be... It can't handle the pressure it will face. It's able to dish it out, but completely a glass chin. Sometimes clan doctrine completely confuses me because it would have been better off increasing the engine and making it a scout. I'll put it in my invasion box while I go over some of the ones I don't have. Or rather, I've been kind of into my collection now. I want to talk about the other branch you can kind of go down. If you're playing later Clan Invasion, oftentimes you're dealing with a lot of second liners, as the clans are all of a sudden on defense. And the second liners, oh, you might think at first, oh, they may not be that great. No. Some of these are absolute monsters. And one of the very first clan boxes I got was the Clan Heavy Star. A lot of these mechs are used in the Inner Sphere as well, particularly the Warhammer 2C and the Marauder 2C. Like their Inner Sphere parents, it's kind of an evolution of the designs, and they got bigger, meaner, and all of a sudden using clan tech. This pack also has the likes of the Supernova, which, if you absolutely need to see something dead from before it can even respond, that's your mech. 90-tonner, 353 movement, and carries 6 Clan ER large lasers. One of these things can destroy Inner Sphere lights before they can even get in range. And it's agile enough to kind of find new purchase when it's threatened. Also has the Stone Rhino. I never understood why Sarna made a bad mech article on this mech. I love it. 2 Gauss rifles, 2 large pulse lasers, and a small laser on a 100-ton jumping behemoth, which ironically is its inner spear designation. Problems arise, yes, when you run the Quirks, but still, it is a nasty, nasty mech, and you really don't want to deal with it. Too much armor, too much firepower. You're not killing it unless you call in artillery strikes or bomb runs or probably multiple inner spear assault mechs. And even a lot of clan assault mechs want nothing to do with it. And then there is the Hunchback 2C, which, as it was put to me by its designer, is the death or glory machine. Sometimes both. 50-tonner, kind of another evolution of its inner spear counterpart. Not really any armor, but carries 2 Ultra ACs and not really enough ammo to fire it. But you point this thing in the direction of something you want dead, and oftentimes it'll achieve its goals, as long as it can actually get to it. Story-wise, interesting backstory to it and theories on it, but you can generally put this thing against some kind of assault mech, and as long as you can actually get to it, it's going to cause some major damage. Then you have the Striker Star. Again, more second-line mechs. Carries a Goshawk, which is another 55-tonner. Kind of an agile duelist. One of the very few mechs that can actually match a Stormcrow blow for blow. The Conjurer, which, depending on who you ask, is the Wolverine 2C. Acts an awful lot like its inner spear counterpart. Faster movement. Very similar weapons load. The Peregrine, which, if you're a Gundam fan, looks like a Zaku. It's kind of a light scout and another duelist. One that's been proliferated throughout the inner spear as well. Kind of a fast skirmisher and with pulse lasers. Very easy pilot. Very easy to use. And causes a lot of problems. The Vixen, which, very much like the Peregrine, is another clan light. Although this one has kind of looks a little bit like a Gundam. Kind of same role, similar weapons loadout. Basically copy paste, different skin. And then the Piranha, which is an interesting mech. Piranha is a dedicated infantry hunter. 12 machine guns. Kind of a stealth specialist, and whenever you need to eliminate mounds and mounds of infantry. But that's the other path really to go down. There's a couple late buys, like the Heavy Battle Lance, maybe a little higher if you're particularly going with the Clan Jade Falcon, or Clan Smoke Jaguar has a lot of uses for it too. Carries the Turkina, which, whereas Clan Wolf uses the Dara Wolf and Clan Smoke Jaguar as well, the Jade Falcons will use this thing instead. It's kind of a jumping 95-ton assault mech, and no matter what variant you use it, there's a tons of weapons. Has a crossbow, which I don't know what to make of the crossbow. I don't use them. The Kingfisher, which is kind of a budget clan assault. Very, very tough. Both Alpha Strike and Classic, it's going to be very hard to kill. It's a little undergunned, but at the same time, that's kind of the sacrifice it uses for all the armor and standard components it uses. Very, very hard to kill, as said. Then you have the Huntsman, which is kind of another clan heavier scout, 50-tonner, kind of a generalist as far as fighting. Mech I particularly like. If you use anything like Arrow 4s at all, it's a good spotter. And then the Ebon Jaguar, which is probably one of the very best clan heavies out there. Tough, very heavily armed, suffers from some fairly bad configurations, but there's a few good ones, particularly like the A or the H, both towed around in El Tracy, and I put many a mech to death with that thing. Then you have the Support Star, which this is kind of a late buy, maybe a little higher for Jade Falcon. Has a Night Gyre, which it's in a mech class called Pocket Assault. It's a little slower clan heavy, carries a lot of gunzo, can outgun a lot of, well, the Executioner actually outguns. The Black Lantern, which is a famous clan medium, incredibly fast mech, very, very deadly. Arctic Cheetah, which kind of a clan scout. The Linebacker, which is either loved or hated. It's kind of a lighter clan heavy, very, very fast. One of the fastest I've ever seen, actually, at 6'9". And then the Battle Cobra, which kind of used by Steel Viper. Like the crossbow, it's kind of an odd duck. Very good for a battle armor taxi, though. It carries all its weapons in its arms. And then you have the Odd Hawk Lance, or Star. This one, no matter which direction you go, I suggest you generally use last. Unless you want the Kodiak, which Kodiak does live by the rule of cool. 100-ton assault mech. One of the very few mechs that truly makes my blood run cold if I actually see it on the field. You're either going to die by a lot of medium lasers or by its big autocannon. And you kind of have to fight it at long range and just keep on hitting it. Then it has a bunch of lights. The Hellion, kind of a late skirmisher. The Fire Falcon, kind of the same thing. The Howler, strange mech, don't use. And then of course there's the final one on it, the Pack Hunter. This was a favorite of my brother. It's a light mech, carries a single weapon system, a clan PPC. And if you start getting like 3 or 4 of them on the field at the same time, that is a world of hurt. Especially considering it's a 12-8. With the Mercenaries box set coming in, we have the Clan Cavalry Star, which this one I can actually show off a little bit. At the time I'm filming this, I do have my Kickstarter in hand, where most people don't. I ordered a small one. But this is the Clan Cavalry Star. It's, once again, a lot of Clan second liners. But again, Clan second liners, it just means they can't vary their configurations. Doesn't mean they're no less deadly. If you're playing things like in Empire Alone, this is almost a must. You have mechs like the Black Python and White Raven, which is in the back, depending. Its name varies depending on which clan builds it, between Clan Steel Viper and Snow Raven. 75-ton Pulse Monster. Every bit as deadly as the Timberwolf, but does it in a different way. It's all pulse weapons. We have the Griffin 2C, which is kind of a medium skirmisher, as is the Shadowhawk 2C. And then we got 2 lights. We got the Jenner 2C and the Locust 2C. Every mech in here is useful, particularly for Op 4s. And as said, no less deadly than their Omni-Mech counterparts. The other one I don't have is the Clan Direct Fire Support, and I kind of regret not getting this one. These are clan heavies and assaults. All second liners as well, but again, no less deadly. The Phoenix Hawk 2C, which all of a sudden has a growth spurt and is one of the most lethal clan assaults out there as far as movement. You got the Grizzly, which is kind of a clan generalist. No strength necessarily, but no weakness either. The Highlander 2C, which is a clan riff on one of my favorite assaults. Takes a Highlander and just makes it even deadlier using clan tech. The Rifleman 2C, when you need those pesky aerospace fighters or VTOLs killed. And the Kraken 2C, which is an interesting one. I used to have one of these, but I have no idea where it went. It's basically where someone decided I want all the AC2s out there and put 10 Ultra AC2s on it and said, "Come at me, bro! I'll kill you with paper cuts." And the irony is, it can. All right. Far less units so far for the clans in the Inner Sphere. Oftentimes they're less played, but the clans are your thing. Kind of my thoughts. Generally, most people are going to be playing Clan Invasion, I think, rather than late Clan Invasion. So the Omnimex probably are the way to start. But keep in mind, second liners are no slouches. In fact, a lot of them I do consider to be better than some of the mainline assaults, particularly like the Warhammer and Marauder 2Cs. More of what you actually put an assault mech on the field for, rather than a giant running around berserking assassin. Yes, I really don't like the Executioner at all. But anyway, I hope you find this of use, and happy gaming.